Do you know what's the weirdest thing about ETS2 and ATS? These are games where, most of the time, you simply drive forward, and yet, people can spend hundreds or even thousands of hours in them. Not because of action, not because of adrenaline, not because of competition, but because of the atmosphere. And that's exactly why I feel like SCS really understands the direction they want to take these games now. Because on one side, we're getting the brand new game radio. And on the other side, the developers are improving the truck interiors themselves, lighting, materials, light reflections, and the overall cabin atmosphere. And maybe none of these features individually look like some huge revolution, but together they start massively improving the overall driving experience. The developers have just revealed a brand new improved material system coming to ETS2 and ATS in the 1.60 update. And the main goal of this system is to improve the way truck interiors react to light, which is something players have complained about for a very long time, because older interiors often looked way too dark, especially at night during bad weather or in areas without direct sunlight. A lot of materials blended together. Steering wheels, plastics, leather, dashboard elements often looked flat and lacked readability. And that's exactly what SCS wants to improve now. The new system is designed to make light spread much more naturally throughout the cabin. As a result, interiors should feel deeper, more realistic, and simply more modern. And honestly, it's really visible on these screenshots, especially the reflections, the differences between materials, and the overall readability of the interior. Even darker parts of the cabin are now much easier to see. The developers explained that the old system struggled with indirect lighting, meaning light entered the cabin, but a lot of details simply disappeared into the shadows. Now it's supposed to work much more realistically thanks to a completely new reflection and material system. And importantly, SCS also emphasized that they tried to make these improvements without heavily impacting performance. So that's good news for players with lower-end hardware as well. Interestingly, a lot of these technologies were developed alongside Project Road Trip. And this is where things start getting really interesting. Because on the screenshots, SCS showed a lot of passenger car interiors that we'll most likely see in the future of ATS. And I feel like this is where you can really see the direction SCS is heading toward. Because some of these interiors honestly look extremely modern. Lighting works much better, reflections look better, materials feel more realistic. Even the overall image depth feels massively improved. At launch, the new system will come to the DAF-NGD and MANTG3TGX in ETS2, as well as the Mac Anthem and Western Star 49X in ATS. But the developers already confirmed that more trucks will receive these upgrades in future updates. And yet, people still spend hundreds or even thousands of hours in these games. Not because of action, not because of adrenaline, not because of competition, but because of the atmosphere. And that's exactly why I feel like SCS may actually be onto something really interesting. Because for update 1.60, the developers have just revealed the new game radio system. And no, this isn't some huge technological revolution. But the longer I look at the screenshots and the overall concept, the more I feel like this is exactly the kind of small detail that perfectly fits ETS2 and ATS. SCS revealed a completely new in-game radio system. And honestly, it looks way more modern than the old internet radio system we've known for years. We now have separate stations, a new interface, album covers, an animated widget, quick station switching, volume controls, and full integration with the game HUD. Just look at these screenshots. This honestly looks more like a real truck multimedia system than a basic stream player. And this is where the whole point of this feature starts to make sense, because ETS2 stopped selling truck driving a long time ago. This game sells the atmosphere of traveling. Escape honestly looks like a station designed specifically for ETS2, lo-fi, ambient, relaxing atmosphere. Imagine late evening, Scandinavia, rain, an empty highway, and this calm music playing in the background. That's when the magic of ETS2 really starts working, because this stopped being just a cargo delivery game a long time ago. It's more like a digital road trip. And this is a huge plus for the developers, because Escape is supposed to be the only stream-safe station available at launch. SCS is collaborating with Harris Heller's Stream Beats here, music specifically made for streamers and content creators. Which means if you record ETS2 or ATS videos for YouTube or Twitch, you'll be able to activate a dedicated streamer mode without worrying about copyright claims. Pump It goes in a completely different direction. Electronic music, heavier bass, more energy, and I feel like this station could work perfectly for night drives, German highways, and those moments when you've been driving for several hours and start slowly drifting off. Pop Gear feels the most every day. You just turn it on, drive, and enjoy something light in the background. And honestly, this will probably become the most used station for a huge part of the player base. But I think the biggest atmosphere comes from rodeo. And I genuinely feel like this station was practically built for American Truck Simulator. Country, Americana, folk. And it's really easy to imagine how well this could work while driving through Texas, Nevada, Arizona, or endless desert highways. Rust FM feels the most road trip, rock, garage, more raw energy. It fits trucking perfectly. It has this dirty, rough road trip vibe. And now comes the biggest question. Is game radio the feature players wanted the most? Probably not. Because most people are still waiting for better AI, better optimization, a more modern engine, or a more alive world. But I think many people are looking at this update the wrong way. Because ETS2 and ATS have always worked because of details. Things like engine sounds, weather, lights reflecting off wet asphalt, the cabin atmosphere, and relaxing music are exactly what make people come back to these games after years. And that's why small features like this can add much more than it may seem at first glance. Because sometimes you don't need a giant revolution. Sometimes all you need is something that makes the drive more enjoyable, the atmosphere stronger, and the entire experience more relaxing. And I honestly feel like that's exactly what game radio is supposed to be. And this is where things become really interesting. Because if SCS truly continues expanding the system, the question becomes, will the community eventually start creating fully custom radio stations? Because SCS already mentioned support for custom stations. This could easily become the moment where game radio starts living its own life. Because just imagine what the community could do with this. Could players or modders eventually create their own radio stations? Their own hosts? Country-based local radio? Traffic news? Europe or USA style advertisements? Immersive radio stations built specifically for certain maps or DLCs? Because if SCS truly opens the system further for modders, the potential becomes absolutely massive. And I honestly think this could be where the real strength of this update is hidden. Not in the 5 stations themselves, but in what the community might be able to turn this into over the next few months. And honestly, the longer I look at these two features together, the more I feel like SCS truly understands what ETS2 and ATS really are. These games were never about constant action. They're about atmosphere. That one peaceful drive after work. Night driving in the rain. Lights reflecting off wet asphalt. The sound of the engine quietly running in the background. A cabin where you genuinely enjoy spending time. And that's exactly why these two features work so well together. On one side, game radio. Something designed to improve the atmosphere of driving itself. To add more immersion. To make long trips more enjoyable and relaxing. And on the other side, the improved material system, better lighting, better materials, more reflections, greater interior depth, and much more realistic truck cabins. Individually, they may not look like some giant revolution, but together, they massively improve the entire driving experience. Because most of the time in ETS2 and ATS, we're looking directly at the steering wheel, the dashboard, the lights, the reflections, the weather, and the atmosphere around the truck. And when relaxing music plays in the background, rain reflects off the road, and the truck interior looks much more realistic. The entire drive suddenly feels completely different, and I think that's exactly the direction SCS wants to take ETS2 and ATS. Not just bigger maps, more trucks, or more DLC, but also immersion, atmosphere, and the overall feeling of driving. Because the truth is, it's the details that make people spend 500, 1,000, or even several thousand hours in these games. Not because the gameplay is highly dynamic, but because ETS2 and ATS have an incredible atmosphere. And I honestly feel like Update 1.60 could become one of those updates that massively improves that driving atmosphere. Maybe it won't be the most revolutionary update in the history of these games, but it absolutely looks like one that will make driving simply more enjoyable.